Hey guys, a little while ago, I had the pleasure of hanging out with ZQuixotix, a Dota support main that had his start with League of Legends. We talked about both games and he solved many Dota 2 riddles. Please enjoy this trimmed down version of the collab. If you want the raw recording, he has it on his YouTube channel, link in the description below. This is just a one-off for now, so normal video format will be back right away. Thanks and I hope you enjoy. Now, Zach, I did invite you to this event for some Dota riddles, but I also wanted to learn a little bit about you. So I saw both of us got interviewed one at a time by Slacks. I thought that you did really well there. And I gotta say, what brought you to do YouTube? What gave you the start? I'm not saying what propelled you into fame and fortune, but what motivates you? Why do you perform those YouTube videos?
On YouTube?
Yeah.
Well, it just started as like when I was growing up, I just liked video games and I couldn't like imagine what I wanted to do as a regular job, I guess. I wasn't happy in school, wasn't happy in like things I was like trying as work. And so I was like, what do I like? And I'm like, I like video games, how can I make that a career? So I tried like some different things. I kind of wanted to be pro, but for like various reasons, like I didn't think I could do that. So then I went back to school and I started to like work towards a normal career that I was happy enough with. And when that was settled, I was like, let's try one more time. Let's try something else, So I spent a lot of time in Dota in school instead of school. And I noticed like on Reddit, there's like very rarely like educational stuff. There's a lot of memes maybe, but there wasn't a lot of like useful information, especially for support. So that's kind of why I decided like I'm gonna become a really good support player, and I'm gonna make YouTube videos for it to fill a gap in the community. And then
is it true that support players in the higher ranks get shit on all the time? My jungle isn't warded. Fucking support, go jungle. Why is there a rune or a lotus or anything like that? How much hate do you get as a support? Or do people like bow at your feet? Thank you so much for saving me with that glimmer cape. Otherwise, we would have lost the game.
No. At all ranks, I think support is pretty underappreciated. It's getting better now, but at all ranks, you will be underappreciated in the actual game. But the topic of what people are upset at you for varies depending on your rank. As you go higher up, it becomes more specific. Usually about the lane, I'd say, is the biggest complaint. The lower rank, I guess it's also about the lane, but it's usually he's not supporting, he's not doing anything, he's like stealing last hits. The higher up you go, it's like, why'd you step away this one time?
Yeah. Oh no, it's 7 minutes, you're not here, and I didn't get the memo that a rune is spawning. I don't know. I totally understand. What's interesting, I like to compare educational content for high-tier Dota and low-tier Dota, which is where I tend to survive and make my impact, I guess. And it seems that as people get higher into Dota, they get more and more focused into just one or two different core roles, and they don't branch out as much. And as you're starting out, you only focus on one or two core roles roles that you try to main all the time. It's somewhere in the middle that people will play every role. And what do you think? Like, do you think that if somebody has a main role, it makes them worse at Dota because they don't understand what the support is supposed to do? I feel like whenever I'm coaching, the core doesn't recognize that the support has a lot of different things they have to do. They have to contest pulls, contest runes, maybe rotate at the 6 or 8 minutes for the mid. What do you think there? That like, do you think that core players, especially like carry, like, do they understand that the support has more jobs than babysitting them, or like, what do you say?
Yeah, but I think it applies for not just Dota, but like every game. The more you know about a game, the better, especially when it's a team game with multiple roles. And it's possible to just play one role and learn about the other things, but I think it's easiest when you try everything for yourself. You don't have to spend, ages on each individual role, but just trying it out for at least a little bit, I think is quite good. And like you said, if you only ever play one, it's you develop an understanding, depending how good you are at like analysis and self-awareness and stuff. Like as a support player, if you only play support, you might have an understanding of what you need the core to do, but you may not understand like what else the core needs to do that doesn't involve you, that the core needs to consider and balance out of like, here's what I need, here's what my offlaner needs, here's what my support needs. And I decided like my needs are more important at this moment. But from the support player side, like if you don't understand that, you might just be like, he's not helping me do what I need to do. I hate him, right? And that's why it's good to try all the different things to understand like, oh, it's not so easy for him to help me. Like I decided to play core and so I always did it. And now I realize like, oh, it's hurting me because I wasn't doing this other stuff. So I think it does help to play all the different roles. Even if you end up going back to one particular role, you can take that experience and understand like how they all fit around you.
A magic wand of wizard's past. Wield me now and have a blast.
I'm scared to get things wrong now. So my thought here, I feel like magic wand, so that is an actual Dota item, but I think it's a bait in this riddle based on the second part, which is like wield me now and have a blast. That makes me think it's like an active one that you can use on people. So I'm gonna say like I'm thinking of wands, like things that do that, and I'm thinking of Dagon.
Is that your first guess?
The main one that comes into mind. I think so. I think Dagon is.
Dagon is actually the right answer. If you go and look up the Dagon's like lore tooltip underneath the actual tooltip, it'll talk about how it grows with power with every wizard that uses it. So well done. Good job on the first one, and we'll jump right into the next one. Again, these are going to be quick rounds to get us kind of warmed up. I run like Flash to catch my prey and cry as they TP away.
Run like Flash to catch my prey. Okay, so this one, so someone fast and doesn't have a way to cancel TPs. So I'm thinking Bloodseeker.
It is actually Bloodseeker. Well done. 2 for 2 here. The whole strategy behind League of Legends right now is fight your opponents at Baron, kill Baron, and then win the game. Because there's like the towers are made of paper. There's no buyback. Everybody's respawn timer is like 40-50 seconds in the late game. You can essentially take one team fight and with no towers pushed, push tier 1, 2, 3, 4 base before anyone else respawns. It's really... I don't know how these guys are like, oh yeah, this is peak League of Legends gameplay. Let's worship the game forever. There's no counter to it.
The funny thing to me is... So you're like, oh, they're made of paper, except at the start of the game. Because I started playing a little bit recently, a couple months ago, because I wanted to try to like experience it now and also possibly make some like League to Dota like videos. So I wanted to understand where League was at. And it blew my mind when I was like, you're not supposed to take the towers before 15 minutes. And
yeah, because of plates.
That makes it extremely difficult. And after 15 minutes, you're allowed to take towers. You can technically do it before, but it's really hard. That kind of blew my mind that they put it in.
Yeah, so the plates that they have, it's called like tower defense plates or something like that. The more you damage the tower before 14 minutes of the game, the more resistances it does. A tower at like 20% health has the same health as a tower full health. It's really stupid. You have to basically kill a tower 2 times over if you want to kill it before 14 minutes.
I have learned a dozen spells, while most have only 4. There are just no parallels in all the Dota lore. So, only a couple heroes do have more than 4, but for a dozen, that's gotta be Invoker.
It's gotta be Invoker. If in the lore of Invoker, he's learned many dozens, hundreds of spells over his lifespan, but he's chosen to kind of ignore some of them because they are not fantastic enough or impressive enough to warrant his attention. Can you imagine some ridiculous egotistic maniac that's like, yeah, I know every spell in the world, but I'm only gonna cast these couple because the other ones are too lame for me to remember to use.
No, but I believe it.
There's a funny 11th spell that appears in game, but only visually. One of the first spells Invoker learned and cast on himself is an indestructibility spell, where Invoker has to be atomized to actually die, otherwise he'll regenerate from any surviving spells. If you notice, if when Invoker dies, he bursts into light. That's because you're atomizing him to counter his indestructibility spell so he can die. So there is an 11 spell that appears, but just visually.
I know we're here talking about the difference in bridging him and all that, but I'm talking about what I don't like about League right now.
Go for it. Well, go for it. So we'll get to everything.
There were a couple of different things I didn't like about League at that point. Like, they still had rune pages. Even now you have to like get the different heroes. But back then, like, even if you got a hero, you could have the like suboptimal runes and stuff. And like, okay, you can maybe afford this hero, but you need this entire new rune page to like optimally play that hero.
And a rune page is like the same cost as a hero. It's weird.
Yeah, it costs so much to get, and I really didn't like that because like I like trying a lot of different things, and League is like, oh, I want to try this cool idea. It's like, I don't have the hero, I don't have the rune pages, and I just really didn't like that. And then they like changed it where they hid like a bunch of stuff in the UI, and they like changed it. I just couldn't get used to it. And at the same time, I was like playing Dota with friends, like, if I want to, like, at that time, it was like the Wild West. So it's like, if I want to Ricky support looking for people jungling, like, I can do that. If I want to try out Invoker, I can do that. Like, it was a lot more free, and I felt I was on equal footing, even with people who had been playing the game for years. I had access to everything they did. I was like, I prefer that way more. And I like the complexity of Dota and all that more than what League had. So that's kind of like when I fully switched over.
I got you. So you played League for a little bit, then around 2015, you're like, you know what? Dota is just a better version, so to speak. At least it has more of what you're looking for, the strategy, the ideas you can counter with items, stuff like that. I still feel like Dota is sometimes the Wild West. I mean, who would have expected that Earthshaker and Earth Spirit are now like top tier mids, even in pro play? I've even seen Ricky's go mid with Meteor Hammers because they're invisible. You just Meteor Hammer the tower down and then you're like good to go. What the fuck? So it still feels like the meta could change at any moment. Somebody just has to discover the next build and then it's over.
I like that a lot. It's one of the appeals to me. League is a lot stricter in really what they want you to do and what you're supposed to do, which if you like that, and it has a lot of like fun stuff to it, and if you like that, you like that. But I like the more creative elements and the free flow and figure, like, you have to figure out what's best. And if you can come up with something really good, like, you can do it. I like that. And I didn't feel like I could get that in League as much. Like, either you can have some creativity there, of course, but it just felt a lot more restricted to what you're supposed to be able to do.
Yeah, when comparing League stuff that you don't like, you mentioned for a moment there was a bunch of stuff hidden from the players. It's still like that. There's no way to know what your opponent's abilities are because when you click on them, it only shows their health, mana, and their current items. It's like, okay, I can press tab or like open up the little pop-up and I can see all the items. How do I learn what their abilities are? Everything enemy is red on my screen. They're just red lines and red circles. I can't tell them apart. I don't know what I'm getting hit by. So it is still very hidden, and it sucks that you can't even demo heroes like champions in League without owning them. Like, that is such an oversight.
It's like, oh, I think this hero is cool, I want to get it, but I'd really like to try it.
I'd like to try him out.
Sure, before I spend, like, what is it? It's like 6,300 IP.
It's still like that for the new champions. Yeah. It's so expensive.
Still like that. That's annoying. Yeah, you'd have to wait for him to come on, like, to free week, and then you could try it. And so
that's like a once in a year thing.
You don't know when it's gonna happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, so not having some kind of demo mode is like, it's such a pain. You have to commit. And I remember doing it. Like, I buy someone and like, I don't like them that much actually.
Yeah. Now I wasted my money. There's no refunds or anything like that.
You have to wait however long to try a different hero. And yeah, I actually really I dislike, as someone who's like kind of a tryhard and likes the creative element, I do not like that a game that would push the idea that's like, oh, it's about skill, like you have to outskill your opponents, but if you do not have access to everything, I don't think it's a skill thing. Like, that's a broad statement, I know, but in general, like, if we're trying to be like, I'm better than you, it cannot be like, but I also have to own everything that he owns, and then it can be like a skill thing. I didn't like that.
just a little bit about Night Stalker. I hate it when people like load up as Night Stalker and then they're AFK in the fountain, and then they go and just like stick by a tower. Like, dude, you have perfect nighttime vision. Come mid. I want to see the rune. I want to see what my opponents are doing. You're just like a slark, right? You don't have to AFK if you have perfect night vision. It's so... You're losing so much of the capacity of a level 1 mechanic of the game, of the hero.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. When you just like, I don't know if it's worse if they're AFK, because at that point at least they're literally gone. You know, at least they're not. It's wasteful, but they're not necessarily choosing to do that. They have to leave and do something. You know, maybe had to is a strong word. But if they move but position extremely defensively, they chose to waste their night vision, and then I'm like, that's even worse. Actually.
Yeah, you go and you're like, I'm hiding behind the trees so they don't see you. Like, dude, they don't see you. It's nighttime. Come out here. Yeah. If they see you, we know they have a ward. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I totally understand it. Going back to your idea where, like, in League of Legends, everything's super locked down, I have been tracking League of Legends pro scene for a couple years now, and it's funny to see that in the pro scene, a lot of carries are actually getting played as support. And then in between tournaments, the game devs are like, oh, we don't want this to be played as support. We're going to nerf the support and buff the carry. But because they buffed the carry, that just means they buffed the support that can scale. and so you see more and more of, Vayne support. Oh, sorry, Vera support, Ashe support. That's
hilarious.
Crazy. Yeah, there's some...
Maybe this is my time to go back. Because actually, when I started playing, I played AD carry. I thought it was like... The MOBA was the first thing I did. And I was like, oh, that's easy. Get last hits. It's kind of fun. I like farming and golding and scaling mechanics in video games. So that drew me in. And I had the friends who played, they were all like, oh, AD carry is so boring. You can definitely play that when you play with us. So that was fine. But then as I learned, because this is one of the first... I never really played this kind of multiplayer game. So then you queue into a game and instantly everyone's just like, I want to play carry, I want to play mid. No one wanted to play support.
The sun in the sky, a curse and no less. I wanted to fly but feel such distress. It burns in my eyes, I feel such disdain. The sun in the skies, it brings me such pain.
I think I know.
Give it a shot.
I'll pause a bit for my chat to think about, but so the sun in the sky being a curse, I'm pretty sure it has to be about Night Stalker. That's like,
you think so?
I think that's the answer I'm gonna put in, because Night Stalker has flying, like an ability, but he has to use it at night, or like you can activate your ult and it becomes night, which I don't know. Riddle-wise versus lore-wise, but I'm going to assume like he doesn't like to fly in the daytime, only flies at nighttime. You know, not that like the game turns to night and he suddenly starts flying, like it has to be the ult, but I'm pretty, that's what's jumping out to me. So if that's wrong, I'll think on it again. So I'm going to go with Night Stalker.
It actually is Night Stalker. As everything, all of my riddles should fit every line. I think that one of the key lines in here is, it burns at my eyes, I feel such disdain. If you notice, Night Stalker has 800 daytime vision versus 1800 for everyone else, so it's just, he can't see.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really bad. We were talking about coaching a little bit. Did you ever get coaching when you were learning League of Legends? Or was that totally just by yourself? Anything you could find online, YouTube videos and stuff? Because I feel like YouTube videos in 2015 for League of Legends, not good, man. We've come a long way with people helping each other out.
Yeah, so funny enough, as a content creator who coaches and helps other people, I actually don't usually look for that kind of stuff myself. Historically, because part of the reason I enjoy video games is coming up with the ideas myself. And so for a lot of it, like when I started playing League and when I started playing Dota, I didn't really look to I didn't really watch pro games. I didn't really watch like any of the education stuff. I just like would try ideas myself. In Dota, when I decided to start really try-harding and try to improve, that's when I started spending a lot more time seeking that kind of content out. As a way of like expediting the learning process, because even watching stuff, there is still a lot of room to explore for yourself and come up with your own ideas. So I didn't feel like I lost that. But at the start, I didn't want someone to just tell me like, here's what's good, do this. I mean, to a basic level, and I did like read up on stuff. I don't know. My degree of like considering that is maybe someone else's like, oh yeah, I was looking into it, I got help. But for me, it's like I casually learned basically like what was good, but I tried to keep it open for myself to try it out and then be like, oh man, this is hot garbage, you know, not do that. Because I don't know, that's just like what I find fun.
The community in League of Legends is so try-hard right now. If you do that, you're going to actually get your account banned. What's the issue is, even for brand new accounts, I'm talking about first games, since I had this experience myself, everybody assumes that you're actually a Smurf. No one new plays League. It's just Smurfs, so they get so mad at you if you don't have the perfect like meta build for items, meta build for abilities. They will flame at you to no end. They will quit the game. And it really sucks because I think this creativity in the game it's very supported in Dota. You can have someone, hey, I'm going to experiment running Witch Doctor as a position 3 with an IO4. Or let's see how that goes. And it just like catches on. Or if they go, you know what, I'm going to take this Earthshaker mid because, you know, I can secure assets. Totally works out. And I think Dota is like, okay, I don't know what you're doing. We got to win this, so I'll trust you. Meanwhile, League of Legends, you bought the wrong item first. GG, forfeit. Oh, ban this guy. I hate him, man. What are you doing? Is it you paid actor? It's like, dude, this was the first item. Starting items. You're gonna get mad at me for not purchasing the most item efficient build for the first like minute of the game? It is extremely toxic. I try to play League of Legends here and there just to keep up with my knowledge so I can make videos for it. But mostly have resolved to watching pro games because playing League, it's the way I compare it. It's like if you think Dota is toxic community, League's community is like a viscous vat of acid. It is just corrosive. Everybody's just I can't play for more like 3 or 4 games, and then I just like I need a break. Let me go and play some Age of Empires. This is too much.
I do think Dota has more creativity. You will have some of the same issues where someone like doesn't like what you're trying and all that. But to your point about new players, I did notice that where Dota technically has like a new player system to a degree, but you can end up with anyone. And it's not always obvious who is a new player because you can hide some of that information on your own profile. And so it's pretty common that a brand new player might end up with a pretty, like, someone still technically low ranked, but who has played quite a lot. And I think the same thing happens in League, but I hate the system, but I'll consider like one plus to it here is that they have the like level 1 through 30, which goes back to me not liking the fact that I have to be level 30 before I can like even approach being an equal footing with anyone playing game longer.
Dota has up to 100 hours though.
Yeah, technically, when you have an account that is like level 1 through 10, should be pretty obvious that is supposed to be new players. But like you said, everyone talks as if you're just an experienced player creating a new account for whatever. Probably because you want to try a different hero and you like can't earn enough like daily IP or whatever. So you're like making a second account to try different heroes or like try a different role, off lane, whatever. I don't know. But when I started to play it again, people would just talk to me like, what are you doing? Or like, what are these idiots doing this? I'm like, aren't these supposed to be new players? Like, you're not even... Like, it's one thing to like smurf and like recognize, oh, I'm playing with new players, of course they're bad, but they're like just expecting you're also just making a new account. You also know what's going on, and we're all gonna play this way.
When I was starting out League recently, I was starting as a like within ranked. Every game I typed, "Hey guys, I'm new. Can you guys give me tips? I'll do my best."
Reported.
It takes 7 or 8 game queues to actually load in. Everybody will always quit during the hero selection and never make it to the game because like, noob, I can't do it.
My mind. Yeah, that you can quit at that stage.
It's insane, and it's because there's almost no reprimands. It's like, who cares? It's like a fourth of a loss, a fifth of a loss. It's insanely weak. Like, you can quit 5 games before you get into a game and it counts as 1 loss. Are you kidding me? How do you even play? How do you learn to draft if there's never any pressure to draft? It's really annoying. And people tell me, oh yeah, this is it's required because like they'll I've talked to League players and they will die on this hill. They'll be like, you have to be allowed to quit the game before the game starts, because what if you're playing with someone that counters you? I'm like, build an item to counter them. Go to a different lane. You're fine. Like what happens in Dota if you play, a lane and your opponents counter you in the lane? You just switch lanes. It's perfectly fine. Safe lane, just go off lane. Support can roam. The carry mid, like. Sometimes you go mid and you just shut down. The other guy is level 5. You're still struggling to like sustain level 4. Okay, you hit level 5. You rotate before your ultimate. Who cares if you don't have it? It'll work out. Most of your strongest abilities are on basic abilities anyway. You got a point and click stun on half the heroes in the game. It'll be fine. But League of Legends, they will be in the same lane for 15 minutes. I'm telling you.
They can't move.
They can't move.
There's no flexibility in League for that kind
It's insane. And they're like, I'm hugging the tower. Why are you doing that? I can't do anything. And I lose. Forfeit now, please. I want to lose. And they'll be like, jungle, please help. Jungle, please help. They don't recognize that the jungler is supposed to help lanes already ahead to kind of like steamroll. You know how in Dota you have the dead lane and two lanes you care about. In League of Legends, you have one lane you care about, because if you have just one player ahead, they can snowball really, really hard in League of Legends. In Dota, it's a lot more like team-wise a victory. But yeah, they can't move. There's no flexibility. People tell me, oh, I'm a League player. I don't want to play Dota because the games are too long. It's like 45 minutes, an hour long. I'm like, dude, your laning stage is 15 minutes. We have more game per game. You have just people looking at each other over creeps and like farming. It is just nothing but laning stage.
Yeah, I can understand it when people say like, oh, Dota games are like too long for what I want. And it is funny because I played Dota so long that when I switch to another game and you see like the difference in length, it's like sometimes a reminder. Like I know it's totally different, but Marvel Snap, I have a friend who like makes content for that. So like I was watching, and I remember I actually just tuned in and they were doing stuff. And like, oh man, this is a long game. And I was like, we're like 4 minutes in. It's like for what it is, it's short. And I get it. If you have a lot of commitments that prevent you from doing a long game all in one sitting, that's fine. The funny thing to me is when like a League player will say that, but they'll still have like 10,000 hours in League, just like you have 10,000 hours in Dota. So like, what's really the difference of having played like, oh, I played like 10,000 games, he played 5,000 games. Like, we both played 10,000 hours. So whether it was like one long game versus like two short games, it's the same amount, like, if you're that invested in the game. But I do understand, like, sitting down and thinking, like, I'm going to play a game, it's 30 minutes, versus I'm going to play a game, could be 20 minutes before it's GG end, could be like 2 hours, like, I like that about Dota, but it does screw over your scheduling a little bit. You have to be ready to commit like an hour. You have to commit.
I'm gonna play Dota for the next 2 hours. That could be 1 or 2 games. We don't know, but it's gonna be 2 hours long.
Could be 3, could be 4.
It depends.
Could be 1.
Yeah, the lower your skill is, the worse you are at closing out the game. People just don't recognize you have to hit buildings. So talking about game lengths between League of Legends and Dota, I learned today that the longest professional League of Legends game recently, like of all time, I think was a little over 90 minutes. And I'm just reminded, what was it, a couple years ago we had that 3 hours and 20 minute long pro game? Do you remember that? Who was casting? It was like Sunspan?
I can't even remember what that 3-hour game was, but yeah, we have some very long 90 minutes in a professional match right now is like, you wouldn't be that surprised.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. Long. Maybe 1 in 10 games, but like not once ever, it can be really long. And Dota matches, if they drag on, it's because you don't know how to close it out. What do you think of the current meta in the pro scene? And I'm talking specifically the meta of don't go high ground. You heard about that one before?
Yeah, of course. I think I'm glad you pointed out the difference, because I do think there's a very different reason between games going long for pros versus pub matches. And like you said, like not knowing how to end is very different from not being able to end, which I think is where the pro scene is more at. Just like different mechanics that have changed, as well as we had a very big update with the map getting bigger. And it's, I mean, not that I'm a game developer, but I play a lot of games and I think a lot about game design. So I think it's one thing to say, like, here's what we think will happen when we make a big change versus, like, here's what actually ends up happening. And I think just over the accumulation of the years, ending the game has become very difficult due to just various things that have got changed over the balance. And that's why so many pros are extremely careful, because it's like one thing to try, fail, and then like, okay, like small setback, be able to go again, versus like try and like, the game's completely different now. And that's where we're at. If you mess up one high ground throw, it could really change the game. And that's why so many people are extremely careful and wait for like maybe 20% of opportunities could work, but you're only confident about 5% of opportunities. And so you just have to keep waiting, and it's like, oh, they could go high ground, but maybe they can't, I'm not sure. So I got to keep waiting for that last small percentage of like, this is it, I know I can do it, now we can go, and I'm not going to throw away by like my professional career.
Your whole career is gone. I actually have my own thoughts about this. You mentioned the bigger map and some gradual changes over time, but I think it might be related to buyback. See, before we had a shorter buyback cooldown, and people would fight more because they knew they had this safety net of buyback. Now buyback is what, 7.5 minutes, I think? It's almost 8. People don't feel like they can high ground without buyback, without Aegis. Everything has long cooldowns and respawn times. And it's weird because I've heard both sides of the argument. One saying buyback should have a shorter cooldown so there's more incentive to fight and it's more interesting to watch. And the other side saying buyback shouldn't even exist because no one's gonna push until buyback's available. I think that buyback is a fantastic mechanic in Dota, and I would hate to have it gone. It's been around since Dota 1. But what do you think? Do you think buyback has something to play with? Like, don't go high ground, especially if you're not ready for it yet.
I think it's difficult to say what is like the main reason.
Yeah, the main reason, probably not.
But I would put it at a combination of buyback. Well, actually, I don't. I kind of like what you're saying about if it were shorter, maybe people would use it more and you'd be more likely to get caught out without it, and then you could end. But I actually think the bigger issue right now, which is what puts so many pros into fear, is the amount of fortifications when you're trying to push high ground into the fact that you could lose the fight, which could be around buyback. Like buyback could be part of the reason you lose the fight, but it could also be due to the map being a little bigger. Includes at the base, there's now another extra side you can get out of. And so I think for the defending team, there are more tools of which to potentially take a better defensive fight, either around that fortification, around a buyback, around a better positioning with the bigger map, around being more farmed because the map is bigger and you can slip out and pick up more stuff. And if you do win a fight, the actual kill gold has the formula has changed, so there's a bigger reward for it as well. We could throw other things in there, but to me it's like that combination is what is creating the fear in going high ground. Is like there's so many ways I could screw this up. And if you play games, like the reasons are a little different, but you've experienced it. You've experienced playing a game. Oh, we're so ahead. This is so easy. Like, let's just go. Who cares, guys? That guy just run it down, and then you lose, and you're like,
there's like no respect.
Oh, no.
We're so far ahead. The enemy, 2 people just bought back, but we can kill them again. It's like, dude, there's no respect for enemy buyback. There's no respect for the 3 people holding on. And you're right, I didn't think about the refreshing fortification, especially like you kill a tier 2, now the tier 3 has fortification. Then you kill the tier 3, now the barracks have a fortification. And it takes you 2 minutes just to push once. Everybody can respawn by then.
That's the really hard part. And I see someone asking about the fortification change, and yeah, you kind of like touched on it. Before, it was well, actually it's gone through a couple different things.
Oh yeah.
But before this, it was like if you kill it every time a tier 1 tower died, it would refresh fortification. but currently we are at the state where the first of any of the initial structures will refresh fortification. So the first tier 1 tower to fall, like let's say you take mid, it'll refresh. If you kill the off lane or the safe lane tier 1s, nothing happens. So essentially you reach high ground, right? Let's say you've killed all the other towers, whatever. The enemy team has fortification. You try to push. They fortify their tier 3 tower, it gains split shot. It kills 1 creep wave. That's 30 seconds they just bought for the next creep wave to walk in. The next creep wave walks in, let's say they successfully take that tower with that creep wave. You then have fortification again. So
that one's meant for the tier 4s, but nobody gonna hit the tier 4s after their first tier 3. What the hell?
So then you're trying to kill the barracks. They're gonna fortify. It's gonna kill your creep wave. You're gonna need another 30 seconds for the next creep wave to come in. And of course, it's not so easy to simply take the buildings off of one creep wave. So essentially what this does is like, we kill the guy. We have 70 seconds to push, right? Oh, I want to take it. Well, there's the first 30 seconds gone. There's the next 30 seconds gone, and the guy's back alive. So you have to be so careful of it, because if you overextend in that period, then you lose the fight. And then we talk about the ramifications of like how painful that is. So it's like, okay, we forced one fortification, we get pushed off, we gotta wait. If you're not able to get there again and fortification just comes back up naturally, then you're at the exact same scenario. They fortify the first wave.
Yeah, fortification is so short. 5 minutes? What the hell? I think it's like, with all of this refreshing, it would be a nice change to see fortification's base cooldown go a little bit higher. So you don't just...
That would be a cool way.
All I watch is like 2 minutes in, the mid fortifies. Why? Oh, because they want to deny one range creep that's about to die to an auto attack, and you just like fortify because you have it on the hotkey. Like, dude, that's not what it's supposed to do. And now you don't, because like nobody pushes before the first catapult wave anyway. So it's just one of those weird mechanics that it's... I don't know if the game is better or worse for it. I like long games, but I think the game is long now, not because there's more fighting, but because there's more difficulty pushing. There's less gold from creep waves, so everybody has to farm the jungle. And it's the map being so big, you can get ganked with the 40, like, what is it now, 40-second duration Smoke of Deceit? You never know when people are just going to jump out on you. It is longer, yeah. Buy me for my main effect. There's more that I could do. Some can make things visible, but I can slow them too. This one should be simple.
Can make things visible, but I can slow them too. So the only thing that I know of that can slow and reveal invisible units would be the Dust of Appearance. And I'm pretty sure that's right. I think it also goes along with like other things do reveal, like sentries and gems, but they don't slow.
They don't slow.
I will go with Dust of Appearance.
It is the Dust of Appearance. It kind of sucks sometimes. You have to tell people, oh yeah, you can use this for slow. And they're like, what? It slows? I've been playing this game for a decade. I didn't know.
As well.
It's 25 damage. It's like anti-blink daggers. It's not that much.
Dang, it's like, no more than me. Wait, what's the damage? Oh, it is 25 damage.
It's anti-blink dagger. That's the only thing it does. So whenever you get a kill with dust, it's really funny because it's just a 25 damage tick.
It's the ultra rare dust kill.
While you're thinking about that, give me some of your ideas for fixing the game length. What do you think?
Okay, I think I have an idea for this, but I'll keep thinking and I'll let chat think as well. So going back to the idea that sieging high ground is really difficult. And of course you could approach this in tons of different ways, and this is where it just depends on Valve, like what direction they want their game to go. Do they want a lot of fighting? Do they not? Right. The main thing I think is like that I kind of want to address is the fact that 60-minute neutral items, the tier 5, those were supposed to be game enders.
Exactly.
But we reached a point where it does get crazy.
Both
and
teams can get it.
Do end, but there's also where it's too crazy and everyone becomes really scared and actually just becomes this total stalemate. So one, you could make it more difficult for tier 5s to be acquired, and only like the winning team has an advantage in it. For example, Roshan, we reach a point where Roshan just starts dropping the exact same stuff and everyone has it. So I think if Roshan starts dropping unique stuff towards the end of the game, such as tier 5 items, and you have to get it from Roshan specifically, that would benefit the winning team.
That is a really cool idea.
No, we're going to get crazier. Forget that one. So
No, but I gotta talk for a second about the neutral tokens. They came out during a smaller map, and there it was easier to control the neutral camps, so the winning team has it. The map has, with the addition of the side stuff and the tormentors, 30 neutral camps. Not even including Roshan. 30 camps. You cannot control 30 camps with your team. Somebody can just like smoke Town Portal out, or like leave the base and farm tier 5s for your team, even if you're behind on the enemy side. It's just too large for the tier 5s being like game ending. Once upon a Dota night, I was stolen from the shop. All who want me have to fight till they get me as a drop.
Okay, I'll talk through this real quick. So I know lore-wise, a couple things, like you're not supposed to mess with the shopkeepers, and if you steal something, you get punished. So I don't know exactly, I can't remember exactly what was stolen, but I do know that Roshan exists because he stole something from a shopkeeper and was cursed with immortality, and he would be like, people would come kill him for his immortality, he would respawn, and like that's his life now. That's his curse for trying to steal. So I'm thinking Aegis, and it makes sense because Aegis is dropped from Roshan, and you usually want Aegis before you fight. I'm not strictly sure. I think that, okay, I'll say that's my guess. I'm not sure if like Aegis like itself was stolen from the shop, but I don't know if that's part of it. We'll start with Aegis.
So, did you know that the Aegis of Immortality used to be a purchasable item back in old Dota 1?
Oh, now that you say it, I think I've heard that.
It cost thousands, but I think it gave you like 4 charges of respawn.
4? Really?
It was insane. You just buy one of these on your carry instead of like tier 2 boots or saving for buyback, and they just like bum rush the base. So yeah, it was Aegis of Immortality, and not because just of Dota 2 lore, but also because it used to exist in the shop, like as a purchasable item. I think that's kind of cool how Dota 2 kind of gives it gives homage to some Dota 1 lore from time to time. Most of Dota 1's lore has nothing to do with Dota 2, but they actually kept the Aegis of Immortality continuity between both games. I think that's kind of cool.
Speaking of like changing lores and stuff, one of the things in League of Legends, I used to care more about the lore, and I knew a lot of like beginning League of Legends lore, but along with like, I don't know, you mentioned you think it's rare for them to change, and I can't really remember myself, but I feel like it happened more than I liked, that they would massively rework a kit, which I didn't like because you like bought a hero and then it's different. But also, they suddenly backtracked a ton of lore from their game. They like rewrote a lot of what they had, and they had some lore that was like much more simplified.
Yeah, you're talking about the whole summoners thing.
And went back, they changed everything about the lore of like the champions and stuff.
So what happened, and both of what you're talking about is related. Between 2014-15, they reworked the map, and alongside it, they came to a new understanding of what they want League to do. So before that, between 2010-2014, League of Legends was just marketing itself as a Dota clone. Later, it's like, okay, we have this new game genre, the MOBA. Let's lead it in a new direction. So the Dota clone was like, we're collecting all of these different champions from all around universes, because these summoners, the players, will use magic to teleport some guy from their universe onto our combat arena and then fight for us because we want to. So what happened afterwards is, you know what? We need a lore team. So they hire a lore team, and the lore team's like, okay, your lore sucks. We're redoing it. There's an entire planet now, and everybody lives on this planet, and they have their own different squabbles, relationships. People have families, and the original team's like, what do you mean families? That's not in the kit. Okay, we need to redesign the kits. They need to reflect the lore a bit better. So what happened is, like, you got the new lore, you got the new kits. You may have remembered a lot of old kits being translated. But after 2015, 2016, everything's like, we have the lore, we have the kits. We can't change the kit because it reflects on the lore. So from now on until the end of time, we're mostly just going to be changing numbers.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of how things got really stale.
Then. Gotcha. I gotta say though, it was a good move for them because for all the shit I give League of Legends game-wise, the
lore's so good,
and their lore is very good.
It's really good.
It's Dota, a good move on their part.
Dota's lore, what the fuck, man? Have you ever seen my video about the Dota lore summed up in a sentence? That shit is so funny to make. I would suggest watching it at some point, but it's like you have the most out of just left field lore that you can possibly imagine. Like Shadow Shaman. You were coaching a Shadow Shaman earlier, where you're doing like a replay analysis. Do you know his lore?
Weird.
His lore?
I think I read it recently. I don't know all the lore, but I think I do know his. He's just like a guy.
He's just like a guy.
But he actually like has some power, but the guy just uses him to like fake power.
Exactly. He's a con artist pretending to have spells by casting real spells, and it's like, okay, cool. That's just the lore. What faction does he work for? I don't know. He's just a bum.
Himself. He's just a guy.
Why is he fighting for the ancients? I don't know, he just kind of shows up one day. There is no connection to anything else, and it's a lot like that for so many heroes in Dota. There are some heroes with really cool and interconnected story beats, but League of Legends, almost everybody knows like 10 other people in their faction. Which reminds me, you know, Broodmother is one of the heroes in Dota that knows the most amount of people, and it's because, get this, in the lore, so you and I, we're humans living on planet Earth. But these guys are heroes living on, I don't know, I'm going to use Sir Action Slack's name, Rue, right? The planet of Dota 2. They have different sexual tastes. It is lore canon that Broodmother is the hottest character in the Dota universe. Everyone wants to sleep with Broodmother. Zeus tries to sleep with her. Kato flirts with her. Monkey King actually has. Monkey King and Broodmother are old lovers.
Monkey King, of course.
Of course. And it's like canon that a bunch of heroes want to sleep with Broodmother. And it's just really funny because like for us, like look at League of Legends. All the heroes are super sexualized and they're really hot. Like the girls. But like Dota's lore, they're like, we don't care about what's hot for humans. We care what's hot for the Dota characters. It's Broodmother. It's Bane Elemental. I don't fucking know. It's weird shit like that. So that just reminds me of like how fucked up Dota's lore is. It's not meant for human consumption.
I'm not sure if this makes me want to play Broodmother more or not. I think it does. I think I want to play Broodmother more now.
Got 3 stuns that pack a sting, a spell to find you with. Cage match is my favorite thing, although I'm a smith.
So I think my first biggest hint, if I knew the lore better, would be who is actually a smith in Dota. But I don't know the lore well enough. However, then working backwards to the kit-wise, 3 stuns. Not many heroes have 3 stuns. I don't know if that's supposed to be 3 stuns in one spell or just they have 3 stuns. I'm going to go with separate first. A spell to find you with is like scouting, which along with 3 stuns has already limited to like 1 hero, I think. And then a cage match first made me think of duel. That's kind of like usually what a cage match is, like 1-on-1. But I think clockwork.
It actually is clockwork.
Yeah.
You're so good, man. There's what, 1 riddle that you've had to guess twice at? You're way too good for this. I'm glad I have some other content to fill the void.
Oh, the Manta one. I'm like 1-1. Yeah.
1 loss so far, man. That's very impressive. You don't need glasses. That is just me. I will kill fastest with RNG.
I'm being thrown off by the glasses part. I'm trying to... Hold on. Oh, wait. Let me close my chat before I read anything. So RNG limits it to a couple different like heroes and items. You don't need glasses.
I don't need glasses.
RNG. So being killed quickly through RNG, I'm thinking critical hits. That's like Chaos Knight, Phantom Assassin, Daedalus. You don't need glasses. I feel like that's a voice line that maybe I don't know.
It is not a voice line. I'll give you that one.
What else has RNG? Ogre has some RNG.
Ogre has some RNG. Does that fit in the riddle? What do you think?
You need glasses? He might. I was trying to figure out this glasses line, like glass cannon or something to go with RNG. But actually, I remembered, like, with Phantom Assassin, she has blur. And I think that's what glasses would be for. So I'm going to go with Phantom Assassin.
That's correct. It is Phantom Assassin. She's saying you don't need glasses. That's me. As in, she's blurry, whether you have glasses or not. My brother is the one you want, the favorite of us. But only I can see him now, and so in me you trust.
So I think, if you know the lore, the hint is brothers. But I don't know how much of my lore I know of, like, how many brother pairings there are. But only I can see him now.
But only I can see him now, and so in me you trust.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I should be able to see like, as an outside, maybe I can't see the hero in the game that's the brother, or, you know, maybe it means something else.
Remember that the riddles are spoken as if in first person from the answer. So that might help a little bit.
So the answer is like whoever's speaking.
So yeah, who is saying, my brother's the one you want, the favorite of us, but only I can see him now, and so in me you trust.
See, this is where I don't know how many the brothers are. I'm gonna brainstorm out loud. You don't have to.
You can go ahead. Don't use your chat to. Don't use your chat to cheat. But I can tell you right now, I'm looking at your chat. No one's guessed it yet.
No one's guessed it yet. Okay, so
Zach's chat. You guys gotta try again, man. It's this one's among the more difficult ones.
So I don't know if techies, they're actually brothers. I know one's hidden in the barrel, but I don't really know if he's meant to be the favorite.
It's
or
not
if, like,
techies. I'll just tell you right now, it's not techies.
I didn't think it would be. I'm also thinking about Anti-Mage and
Dota 2 lore, not Dota 1 lore. They're not related in Dota 2.
I wasn't sure where they fell out there. Jakiro, they're twins, but we can see both of them.
We can see both of them, so it's not really going to be Jakiro.
Same would apply to Ogre Magi. Did someone consume their brother? I'm trying to think. Are there any heroes like that? This is hard. I feel like I'm not looking at like a list of heroes either, so I'm just trying to like think about.
By the way, you can pull up a list of heroes. You can pull up a list of items, a list of buildings. Just have the game open. It's totally fine as long as you don't like look up the answer to the question.
Okay. Let me.
You are absolutely willing to like. You can totally do that. You can show it to your chat if you wish. But while you're thinking, I want to ask. Actually, I'll give you a moment more to think here. I'll set something up. I'm gonna get some water.
Okay, yeah, go. All right, chat. I can't see you guys, but I'm thinking. Now that I see the different heroes in the game, the Spirit Brothers, they're also brothers, but we can see all of them, I think. Right? I mean, we didn't see the Void one for a while, but it sounds like there's only one brother, so I think 4 brothers is too much. Who else has a brother? And who consumed their brother in the womb? I'm still going through it. I was thinking there are Spirit Brothers, but I think this sounds like there's only one brother, or
just the
2
one
brothers total. So
it's not any of the Spirit Brothers, nor any of the Keen Folk.
Oh, it could also be. I was thinking of like 2 brothers, but maybe it's a sister and a brother, and could be someone talking about their brother.
That's an interesting thought.
But I still don't know who has a brother, because I know Lena and Crystal Maiden, but they're sisters. They don't have another sibling that I know of.
Mm-hmm. If you learn this answer, you're gonna be like, oh, of course, oh yeah. I'm waiting to see that reaction. I'm gonna check your chat while you're looking at this.
Okay. See if anyone has it.
Without telling your chat much, one person guessed it.
Ooh, someone's got it. See, my brother is the one you want, the favorite of us. So it's the second sibling, you know, the unwanted one. And I'm not sure about the trust part, though. I don't know if it's related at all, but it does make me think of like maybe it's a carry type hero because you have to trust them to carry you later. But I don't know about that one. I don't think Arc Warden. They're clones. I don't think they count as like brothers.
Yeah, that's not it.
And I can see both of them anyways.
And for your chat, Inglesimp, you are totally the right one. Everybody's congratulating the guy that guessed it already. So,
is it an Invis item related to Invis? In a secret shop?
You're so close.
Oh, so close.
Chat, he's so close, man. He's like, of course it's an Invis item.
Can I buy this item?
You're a support player. This is like your favorite item in the world.
It's not the Midas.
Doesn't know. Any more hints than that, I might as well just tell you the answer.
Let me think through. Invis things, we got Shadow Blade, we got the Shadow Amulet, we got Silver Edge. Are any of those these? The favorite of us. Do I have a favorite between these three? Oh, there's Glimmer Cape too. I never want to buy a Glimmer Cape, I want to buy a Midas. Trickster Cloak? I don't think it would be that.
It's literally invisible.
The item? A sentry? An observer? One of those two?
Make a guess, man.
I don't know.
Should I tell you the answer?
A literally invisible item?
Do you want me to tell you, or are you gonna like hate yourself afterwards?
I feel like I'm supposed to know it.
Man, he's trolling me, man. There's no way this is real.
No, I don't know it.
All right.
What is it?
The answer is a sentry ward. I want to talk about, you started talking about all of your crazy ideas for fixing like high ground and stuff. And I think we only covered one, and then we changed topics. I'm gonna go back to that.
Okay, yeah, we can do that because I already know the answer to this one. So I'll post this and let other people think about this one. Okay, so here's a good one. Here, Age of Empires fan, right? So part of the issue with high ground is that you have to walk up to the enemies.
Wait, why'd you say an Age of Empires fan? Is this related?
You're gonna see. This is your own riddle. So the problem is that all your buildings are in the back and they're nowhere near. And so that's like part of the challenge. You're so close to the enemy base, there's the high ground, the towers are there. So we need like the challenge that creates that they have so many advantages defending high ground that you cannot, like you struggle to break it. So I think Roshan or a tier neutral or like some new mechanic, right? We get late enough to the game. You need to be able to acquire a building kit. And you should be able to build different things, potentially.
Are you talking like a sequel to the repair kit? Because that thing was so toxic, man. Holy shit.
Repair kit's boring. I am now bringing my villagers from the base, and I am building a castle next to my enemy's like base, and we are shooting them down over time. I am building.
What the fuck? Did you get a castle drop in
a trebuchet, and we are going to. Yes, I do. 80 minutes into the game, I want a castle drop. I don't think that's the craziest thing a man should want at 80 minutes when I cannot break the high ground because their base is too strong. And then we're going to shoot arrows. It's going to do like 1 damage at a time, but it shoots like 7 arrows at a time.
It's actually just a castle.
That tower. Yeah,
Jesus,
or a trebuchet
man.
or whatever.
Oh,
Things
okay.
to make the high ground easier. This is what Dota needs. Roshan, okay, so like it goes Aegis, Cheese, and then Ags or Refresher.
And And then
that's
build kit.
Kind of where it's stuck. It used to be both. Yeah, exactly. So it's very late into the game, right? We're not siege kitting 5 minutes in. That's too broken, right? This is 50 minutes plus the 4th, 5th Roshan, right? He can come in parts. The 4th Roshan has like the trebuchet arm. The 5th Roshan has like the wheels. This is like Kirby Air Ride now, where
what happens if one Roshan gets snuck? You just don't have the trebuchet built ever?
Steal it from the enemy. You gotta steal it from
Holy
the enemy.
Shit, man.
In Kirby Air Ride, you had like 3 different components of like the best ships, and different people could pick them up. You gotta kill that guy, take his ship piece. Now we're encouraging fighting in Dota again, so you can steal their catapult pieces to siege the high ground.
This one was one of the riddles that Slacks got out of me when I got interviewed. I don't know if you saw that one or its answer. If you saw the answer, we can move on. You just tell me what it is. But if you don't know the answer, give it a shot.
I might, but my memory is like a goldfish. So
the worlds I create, full of fear and of hate, put all in a vulnerable state. My obsession is real with the terror you feel. Before me even gods kneel.
So I do remember this being read on stream.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what the answer was.
Try and solve it rather than searching your memory. What do you think?
So there are several heroes about, so either creating worlds or being scared. So like Elder Titan, World Creator, Terrorblade is terror. I feel like Bane also factors around like nightmares and fear. I'm trying to piece in together the before me even gods kneel. I mean, you can technically use your abilities on any of the heroes, some being gods, so like, no. Dream worlds are kind of like real worlds being created. Put all in a vulnerable state. And he has Enfeeble. I think that's that. I'll go with Bane.
It is Bane. Well done. So
okay,
the goal there is
remembering the stream than myself.
Yeah. The worlds I create full of fear and of hate, those are the nightmares. And of course, being put under nightmares kind of like a stun. Now, Bane is the manifestation of nightmares from one of the gods called Niktasha. And his entire purpose is to create nightmares for others, especially gods, because he was born from a god's nightmare. So, before me even gods kneel, Bane knows the fears even of the most powerful deities. That's kind of like how he was spawned.
A little bit of lore there. I didn't know that.
You're a big support player, and you mentioned it before that you used to be a carry, but you're like, oh, I want to be more active around the map. How come you didn't transition to like position 2 or position 3? They're still cores, but they're meant to be more active.
I'm a team player, so came to Dota from League, and League I'd played a lot of, so I started with ADC, ended up doing support because no one wants to do it. So I mainly play, I would say like at the beginning of the game, you know, like ADC support. I like that about League, that people call it at the start. It doesn't always get respected back before they had like the role queue stuff. But I liked that. Dota didn't really quite have that as much. Besides, you could like click on the mini map, but whatever. Anyways, you say that, and then like 5 other people said ADC, so I played support. And towards the end, I did start switching to the jungle and the mid because I liked the freedom of like doing other things. So on Dota, I was like, I want to like do whatever, you know, I want to try that. So I did play like mids and carries, but as I was playing with a group of friends, like people fit into different roles. And so I actually played mid a lot because my friends didn't want to play mid. And I had the most, some of the most MOBA experience out of my group of friends because I played League. I had a different group of friends, I should clarify. One group of friends played League, and then I started playing with another group of friends that started playing Dota because I had the most experience. Someone else also had a lot of experience, but he wanted to play carry. So I ended up playing mid a lot. And from there, I just ended up playing all the roles. And when I would play ranked, I did do every single role, and I just didn't care. I usually filled, which meant like 90% of the time I played support. So when I decided to try hard for MMR, it was again, I was open to anything, but personal philosophy identified, we still didn't have ranked roles at this point. I identified like, what is the role I am most likely to play in most of my games? It's like, it's almost always support. So I'll just commit to it. I will learn this. And on the off chance we have too many support players, then I will play core. And at that time I was still good enough that like, it did work out. Like if I ended up core, I like knew enough about what I was doing to like make it work. But I just won most of my games as support. And then now we have ranked roles. I could switch over to core, but I don't know. I think about this quote I read. I can't even remember where I read it from, so I can't even properly quote it to the person. But I remember reading about like what is passion, and like for some people it's just like what you naturally feel, already love, like it's very easy for you to do, and that's what a lot of people think about it, and I get that. But then there's like another kind that this person described that they developed. It's like, you don't have to like something, but you do it so much that you learn to respect it and appreciate it, even if you hate it, right? Like you just know it so intimately. I think it was like a doctorate student or something, like someone talking about their research where you're like, you hate what you do. It's like, it's so much stress and everything, but it's like, but I know this topic the best out of everyone. And you develop a passion from like doing something so much and learning it so intimately. I think that's where I'm at as a support player, even though I traditionally, I started with like, I want to do core roles and stuff. I have played so much supporting. I've invested so much time in like learning how to do it well. I'm very passionate about it, even though I would have started with like maybe doing something else. So that's why I'm still here in the support.
Since you used to play core, now you mostly play support. Is there ever time you look at the cores in your game and are like, if only I was the core, I would do this instead. Why aren't they doing this? They're buying the wrong item. Where's their BKB? They're not pressing it. Like, people, you're like, why are they so greedy with BKB activation? They're fine. Just click the button. It's fine if you waste a second. I don't want you to die.
Yeah.
Anything like that happen to you?
Yeah, when I was a better core, I would like think about that a little bit more. Nowadays, I'm so out of touch with it, even though I started to learn it again a little bit lately. My mechanics are still pretty rough, so I'm not really harsh on any core player's mechanics, but the number one thing is just like the communication aspect, because like the type of person drawn to different roles, I don't need the core player to be the best. I just need them to say like anything. I need them to like, hey, can I leave? Or like, hey, I'm ganking. I need them to like respond and do something. And if I ever have a core player who just like talks normally to me, I'm like, I'm content. I'm happy with this core player. That's like all I want. I have very low bars now. I don't even worry about like, oh, he should be doing this, he should be doing that. I think about it in terms of like trying to improve at the game, and more than thinking about my own role, I want to understand like, oh, he should be doing this. He's not doing it. I'm not going to like blame and yell at him, but like, that's what I think he should be doing and what I would try to do if I was playing that. But if they at least say like, hey, I'm going for this, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, he's communicating. He's telling something. He's not just getting mad right away. Like, that's all I need now.
From your perspective as a support, what do you think is the biggest mistake that your cores in your games do? I'm not talking about cores in general, but what do you see? You're like, oh my God, you're such an idiot.
It's different. For NA, it's mostly extremely passive play. It's the
your
North
Twitch
American
chat.
like
your communication
the North
GG
American mentality. Yeah, pretty much, Steven Johnson. That's what you get from him. That's a pet peeve of mine. I've said before, like dead silence for like 5 minutes into the lane, and then a sudden outburst of like, why haven't you been doing this for the last 5 minutes? Just go back in time 5 minutes and tell me that's what you want, and I'll do it. Like, it's that easy. Why are you so angry over something you could have solved with 3 words? So yeah, the post mistake detailed explanation, it's I hate that. But to go back to your actual question, in North America, there's a very like, I don't know, it's like a greedy, selfish mentality play style, and many cores only think about like what they need to do and want to do, and they don't think beyond that. And as a support player, it's super boring because the support is, you're supposed to enable them. But when everyone's trying to do the exact same thing, which is like passively farm and gold, there's actually very little for a support to do. I've been playing in the EU servers the last couple weeks, and there's a lot better ideas from them about who's supposed to be greedy, who's supposed to be active, and it's a lot more fun as a support player. So that's kind of like the mistake I see a lot in NA, which is like, there are things I need to do as a support player that are objectively good for me. I'm supposed to go to the wisdom runes. I'm supposed to fight for lotuses. I forget to do it sometimes, but I'm supposed to.
Dude, it's like 150 gold per lotus in regeneration resources. Yeah, it's not little. Huge.
I'm supposed to go to the mid lane and like help get the power rune. And the higher rank you are, and what seems to be more prevalent in like the EU servers, at least, I don't know about like other regions beyond that, everyone, like people understand like, yeah, the support is helping to get a power rune, is good for the game as a whole. The mid will do something with it. They'll gank another lane. Like they understand like more of the connection, but there's a constant issue in NA, which is like the carry will see you leave to a power rune and they'll be like,
where are you going?
He is not helping me. He is not like farming me. And like, even as like the mid comes and kills their lane, they're like, I got the kill on that. Like they're not thinking about the connection between it. So like, that's the frustrating part about being a support player. It's like, you're trying to do things that help the team, but you will be yelled at because you did not help the individual person at every single moment.
Who was it that famously is like, never leave lane as 5? Was it Gork? I thought it was Gork. I was just like, never leave as 5. I'm like, what do you want me to do? You're fine. You're fine. Just farm up a little bit.
Yeah.
When you're talking,
there's a lot of nuance to it, but
of course. But like,
is like, if they would help you understand, like, hey, I don't need you as much in this lane, you're free to move, or someone says like, hey, I really need a lot of help, this is a bad matchup for me, like, please stay with me. If I ever got any of that, it would really help me understand where I need to be. But for me, it is always a complete, like, here's my prediction of what I think I need to do, here's how, like, I think I should do it, I go do it, I get no feedback whatsoever. I'm like, was that right? Did it just work out by chance? I don't know. Sometimes you get yelled at, and it's really tough. Like, you have to balance out, like, he's yelling at me, I just want to, like, yell back and shut it out. But some people are genuinely accurate. Like, you're wrong. You're not doing the right thing, and it's really hurting me. And you have to take the anger out of that and take the proper feedback. And other people are totally dead wrong. They're just mad about nothing. And you're like, that's fake. Like, it's not real feedback. And I'm actually correct. I have to continue what I'm doing, and he's wrong. That's the really hard part about approving, when no one's talking to you and explaining like their viewpoints on what you need.
I was once moved with every patch and can swing an early fight. There's no one that can match me when I'm bathed in light.
So this one, I'm not fully sure. So there's a strong light, light mechanic here, or imagery in that last line. So I'm thinking of heroes that use light, like Keeper of the Light, Dawnbreaker.
But it has to fit most of the lines, or all of the lines.
Yeah, so that's the tough part. Like the swinging in early fight, that would be fine. There's no one that can match though. So
yeah, people can match
the Keeper hero when it comes to light. Essentially, I think like when that hero is bathed in light, they are number one. And then I was once moved with every patch. So that's the part that's throwing me off a bit. It's making me think this hero, or maybe item, right, whatever it is, has been changed a lot. So that's where I'm like currently struggling. I was thinking about Phoenix, because Phoenix can turn daytime into night, and she overrides Night Stalker as well, I think.
I don't know. He does override Night Stalker. He's got top priority over everything. Okay. Night Stalker, Luna ulti, Phoenix is on top. Because Phoenix is just like a sun,
yeah. So that's kind of what I was thinking, but
it is not Phoenix and it's not Keeper. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah. Moving with the patch, I thought maybe because switch from strength to universal, but it's not that, like every patch, which is what this made it sound like. So,
people in your chat already got it. My chat hasn't yet, so they beat you again.
When I'm bathed in light. Oh, Omni Knight also has some light imagery around his spell.
Moved with every patch?
Yeah, that's the line that's like getting me. Okay, I'm gonna step back from all the other lines. Let's see what got changed with every patch, and what does moved mean? Moved. from different attributes. That only happened recently, I think.
It used to move, like, the patches used to move the answer all the time.
Used to move the answer all the time. Towers? Towers.
That's the answer.
The patch.
Yeah. Dude, it's actually just towers. Especially the tier 1. I was moved with every patch and can swing an early fight. You know towers can swing fights, especially in the earlier game.
Yeah.
And then Glyph of Fortification fortifies them. No one can match their strength when they're fortified. And it's like bathing them in light. They're just covered with like glowing light stuff.
I don't think it works anymore, but actually Jakiro could damage towers through fortification.
No shot. Oh, that wasn't Dota.
It would go through fortification.
1 though, because like that was just maxed armor.
No. I'm pretty sure it worked because I never played Dota 1. I only played.
Holy
one.
shit!
And
maybe it still is 100% armor. Like what is it? Omni Knight's ulti. That's just armor basically. You're immune to physical damage.
I don't think other spells worked though. I don't think like Leshrak's W and like Techi's Q. I don't think those worked. I'm pretty sure only
those were physical damage, so that wouldn't work. Now Leshrak's W is actually pure damage. I wonder if it'll work. Another one that could work is Viper's shard ability, right? His poison attack now does damage. I don't know if that works against fortified buildings though. I'll have to double check.
But Pugna Blast was magic as well, and I don't think that one was through fortification. I think Jakiro's was specific because I think the way it coded was like, I don't know, the way it worked was just different on towers, and I think it was the only one. I know that because I played a lot of Jakiro, but I don't think it works anymore. I think my chat's telling me it doesn't work anymore, but the attack slow does work.
I see. So chat's like, you can't do it, but you can add the status effects and then it'll just work afterwards. So sometimes even if it's fortified with Viper, I'll just keep attacking because I know afterwards it'll just melt straight through. But it is towers. Well done. And you got on your first attempt as well. I thought you'd guess a couple of other stuff. I mean, you tried
for a while.
Keeper of the Light and stuff, but you were pretty sure that wasn't it anyway, so I'm not going to count those as actual guesses.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about communication, do you use voice chat in Dota a lot? What do you think about it?
Yes.
Me too.
When I stream, I get worse at it. I end up talking to my chat and not necessarily to my teammates. But when I'm not doing, like if I'm playing offline and I'm just focused, I do end up talking quite a lot. Usually through voice chat. Like I think that's best. There are times I don't feel like it and I'll type. And if people are being really toxic, I am maybe more likely to type rather than voice chat. But I do think voice chat is like number one.
I'm bringing it up because like you mentioned how your lane partner might just be, not speaking for 8 minutes and then they just give up. They just go jungle or destroy items. Hopefully not, Quinn. Quinn, Amar, Ramses, they're so tiltable. Holy fuck. But I think that voice chat is really cool. At the very least, it presents you as a human on the other side of the screen. I think I'm a huge proponent of voice chat as a toxicity negator. The more you seem to like just not talk constantly, but be accessible through voice chat, the less people seem to be toxic because they recognize you as another person, even if it's just like, unconsciously they'll treat you different. That's what I've noticed, and I'm bringing this up because I've talked to a lot of League of Legends players, and it's what? How?
Just kidding. I was making a joke over there last.
I get it. Sure. I'm off game. Okay, during streams,
okay.
people that like talk to, and it is actually split down the middle, 50-50. Some people are like, we are the last popular competitive multiplayer game without voice chat. Valorant has it. Counter-Strike has it. Dota has it. Fucking every, not every RTS, but like some new RTS are now getting voice chat. There is voice chat in like competitive team games, except for League of Legends. League of Legends, categorically refuses to include voice chat, and they think this is such a shame. And then the other half of the people are like, voice chat? Never. Please. I hope it never makes it to League of Legends. I will quit League of Legends if it had voice chat. This will be the end of the game if it gets included. I can't quite wrap my head around the differences.
Nah.
But they're saying, the people that would hate voice chat, one of their biggest things is like, if voice chat is added to League and I don't use voice chat, I will be at a disadvantage to everyone else that does use voice chat, and this will put me below everyone else. It'll force everybody to voice chat. And I'm like thinking about Dota, I was like, no, never. Nobody's ever forced to play it.
But also, I don't think it's even bad. What's wrong with using voice chat?
They hate it. They think it's the worst. I wanted to hear your thoughts on it. Why do you think this might be for League? Do you think Dota would be a different game without it? Because I like using voice chat because I think Dota is a social game. I want to pretend I have people around me that I'm playing with. There's a little bit of social. Like, I don't have my I need my social interaction hit, man. I don't go outside. Mm-hmm. I'm a nerd.
Same. I mean, first, I think it's huge for a game like Dota or any game that. How do you have a teamwork game that you don't have the communication, right? Especially anything high complexity. Like pros go into the game, they don't type. Like, do the League pros? I don't know. Are they not allowed to talk?
No, they just talk through like team chat or Discord or some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Because like any complicated game, especially for any quick motions that need to happen, which is why I usually recommend like ignoring the human element, avoiding toxicity, stuff like that. Like just the actual communication of the game. I have to take my hands off the keyboard. I gotta like type like please get now, like it's too much. Being press one button or like open mic.
They say you can ping enough. I'm like, dude, Dota's ping system is so much better than League's. By leagues if you compare the two. And still you can't communicate everything you want. Like how are you supposed to say, guys, smoke behind me, I'll bait the lane. You can jump on them when Wraith King comes forward. Like, what the fuck? You can't say that.
Use a chat wheel for it, but have you ever dug through a chat wheel? We have a lot of chat wheel options.
I never used the chat wheel, but I believe
it. Uses it. It's too much.
It's so much.
I don't. Well, I can understand that if other people are using voice chat and you don't, I mean, that is technically a disadvantage. That only affects very few people. Like, I know a lot of women don't like to use voice chat because they get targeted, which is kind of a separate issue.
That is true.
Yeah, I feel for that, but I don't know if that is a reason to not have it. Like, I think the individual person can just not use voice chat if they don't feel comfortable with it or can't for whatever reason. And you could just listen. Like, if people say, I want to gank now, yeah, you could do it. Or you can, well, I don't know if League can do it, but you could attach something to your, like, ping wheel that says, like, no. Like, hey, gank, like, no. Retreat.
There's no, like... voice like lines in the ping wheel for League of Legends. It's all emotes only. That's it.
Well, you can have it like I don't know. There's got to be some kind of negative emote.
There's an X. There's like X. There's like coming here, run from here. That's about like all they have.
It would come up if you have to do this kind of mixed communication. Like people will figure something out. I think it's good to add it in. I understand there's toxicity to it. Potentially, and that's something that needs to be addressed and handled. But that's usually what like a mute system is for, or like behavior score, some type of like mechanic like that, and not just like, well, there's toxic people, so we just can't have it.
I don't swear, toxicity will get lower if somebody uses voice chat. I think it's because people can type. Have you seen like? Even I make comparison videos, but there was a video made a couple months ago from Blitzbank. I don't know if you ever watch his stuff. I know a little bit about him. He has played League of Legends and Dota 2 for a decade, like both games. And he even says that League of Legends is way more toxic than Dota, and people will just type the most creative insults because they have to get around the toxicity filter. Like, you can't say fuck. Well, Dota, you can just say fuck, whatever the fuck, it's just, who cares? But it's like, it is really bad. I think that voice chat in Dota, like, there are many games I would not have won if no one on my team had voice chat. I usually am the guy that chats the most. I mean, I think of myself as like someone that can coordinate, but sometimes someone else can do it. You just need someone to be a center point for coordinating a fight. That's all you need. And you can't do that with pings. All you can say with pings in League are, I'm going here, my ultimate is off cooldown. Which, by the way, their ping system is so scuffed. I'm so sorry for them. They ping an ulti. You know what it says in chat? First of all, it doesn't say it like in anything special. Like when we ping, we have like a special icon to show that this is a ping rather than us typing, and it comes out right away with like specific responses. In League, it just says, so your name, because you're the chatter, R-16S. That's it.
Very simplified.
My ultimate is on a 16-second cooldown. Dude, what? Instead, when we ping it, it says my name, the name of the ability is on cooldown, and it's like nice and written out. You can immediately see it without having to like notice which letter is being used or anything like that. Plus, in League, when you don't know what all of the abilities are, like you might know what a champion can do, but you don't know which one is on his Q or his W. Like, how are you supposed to know if they ping their Q ready? Like, which one's Q? I don't know. I know he's got a stun. I know he's got a leap. One of those is probably the Q.
It's kind of funny. I would actually like the option to choose between these. Like, I wouldn't mind if it's just like
choose,
16.
But they
like,
have it just
that would
set.
be actually okay with me. Yeah, but I think the clarity of having all of it is useful.
I think in Dota, it would actually be bad to choose because a lot of people use legacy keys. A lot of people use custom keybinds.
It's true.
You ping your legacy key T for Invoker. How are you supposed to not Sunstrike? I don't remember legacy keys. I know that Sunstrike is T, but nobody else does.
That's fair.
What the fuck?
Well, I think maybe there's like an automated translation way. I don't know.
A translation layout, like based on yours?
I don't know. Whatever. It's a lot of work based.
It's a lot of work.
Something that's not really needed.
In League of Legends, you can't change your keybinds, so it probably would work easier, right?
I thought you could change some. I thought I saw.
No, not for. So when you change ability keybinds, you can do that, but it changes it for every single champion you own at once.
Oh, you can't change it like individually like the way Dota can.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And I don't know how their ping system works if you ever change the keybinds, because nobody ever does. QWER totally works. Everybody uses that. No one's going to change them.
I'm kind of amazed Dota has that much complexity of like you can individually change it.
It's really
I didn't expect it.
Like approachable. I changed the keybinds for a bunch of my guys. For example, I want all of my attack modifiers to be on Q. But sometimes it's not. So I'll just switch the attack modifier for Silencer for, Ancient Apparition to be on the same thing. But in League, you just can't do that.
I do something similar. Like Lone Druid, because if you want to use Roar on the bear, it's Q. Or like to recall the bear is Q. But to summon the bear is Q. And if you accidentally miss micro, you'll summon the bear, and
so you have to like replace it with E
so
on
I
the bear.
rebound it to like C.
I haven't done that. I probably need to do that.
Summon the bear.
That's a good idea. I should probably think of doing that. Can you rebind hotkeys for summoned units? I don't think so. So the bear is just like lost to us.
Some of them have that option where you go into default. I think you can set all the neutrals, which count as.
I mean, all the neutrals are Q. That's comfortable. Yeah, I don't remember about
on the
this.
bear changing specifically.
I would have thought the bear shares the same hotkey as the hero because it's the same ability, but maybe not.
I think it's separate. Actually, I know it's separate because I changed it.
Ice Frog never could decide on my recipe. Ring of Regen, no I lied. Headdress, not for me. Am I for melee or for ranged? No one truly knows. Patches always have me changed. Oh, the balance woes. After almost 20 years of Come Among the Kings, upgrading beyond my peers, enthralling greater things.
Okay, so chat, I'm gonna let you guys think on this a little bit. When we were setting things up just to get ready, Sour Potato gave me this one as told me this is like longest one to so we could get the sizing right on this riddle. I couldn't get it then. And I thought about it on and off since then, which is like a day ago, too. I don't have it. I have a couple of ideas, but...
Alright, we'll hear them, but I also want to respond to someone in your chat. While you were gone, I gave them a League of Legends riddle. Lieutenant Eagle, it is Poppy. Well done. But you totally don't have this one? It's an item, at least you got that far.
Something... So I'll talk through it, what I was thinking about.
What are you thinking?
So based on the words, right, I think this item went through a lot of changes. And I assume that it had a Ring of Regen. That got changed to a headdress. That got changed. Am I for melee or for ranged? So initially I was thinking about items that have different effects for melee and ranged. But then I expanded it to... I don't think it strictly has to be something that has double effects. It could just be an item that both melee heroes and ranged heroes would get, and it's not clear who is supposed to get it. The patch is always having me change. I think that yeah, we said that. The balance woes. So I think it's an item that fluctuated between super broken and then super garbage. After almost 20 years, so this is the last part, and I'll submit my first guess as the end here. I'm not fully sure how to read these last 4 lines, but I think it was an item that could be upgraded and improved, but the wording also makes me think the item is gone, which made me think Necronomicon.
It is not Necronomicon. Is that your first item? That's your first guess?
So.
It is not Necro. It's something currently in the game.
And it's not Helm of the Dominator, because that's another thing I had thought
Not Helm of the Dominator.
When he first gave it to me, I thought of Helm of Dominator, because I know that went through a couple recipe changes and a couple different people would buy it. And now I was thinking oh, it's now Helm of the Overlord. You can get bigger things. You upgrade it. You can throw more stuff.
You are close,
so I think it's this last line I gotta figure out. These last couple ones, I guess. I've come among the kings. Should that make me think of the king heroes? I mean, is it not Helm of the Dominator / Helm of the Overlord then?
It is so close, but it is not Helm of the Dominator.
Not those?
You're so close. Any hint will give it away.
What else captures things?
So here's a hint. So the last 4 lines is when I am upgraded, I come among the kings because I get upgraded beyond my peers and enthralling greater things. But who am I before I get upgraded?
Vlad's.
It's Vladimir's offering.
Let's see. I once have died and given all, but now it all feels quite hollow. For life has found me past sorrow. My life is now one I borrow. So there's clearly a death involved.
This is very Dota, lore themed.
There's death, and the fact that it sounds like he's back. The bait to me, because you're saying it's it's close. There's several things that make sense. I feel like the gut reaction is Skeleton King / Wraith King of coming back,
Not
reincarnation.
neither of those.
But I don't think that's quite Yeah, I don't think that's quite right because it sounds like this person, I mean, literally, it's borrowed the life, not just like coming back. So, I mean, they're back, but it's like they've died and a new life from somewhere else is given.
And before you guess it, it is not Abaddon with borrowed time either.
I didn't think so because you don't put the names of abilities of like the answers.
Sometimes I might, but he never died, so it wouldn't fit anyway. How well do you know your lore?
It feels quite hollow, so I think that I'm trying to think about if that means anything to anyone. My life is now one I borrow. So who died and came back? Huskar, I think, involves some like life and death altar, but I don't know if he actually died or not. I don't know. I'm not strict on the lore there. I know Venomancer almost died. I think he was like comatose for 17 years or something, but I don't think he actually died. And if he did, I don't think he like borrowed a new life. So I don't think it's that.
Are you gonna make any guesses? You have infinite chances. Or do you want to like definitely be sure? Like, cause I'm not telling you anything.
Yeah, don't tell me anything. I'm just kind of like thinking out loud.
Okay.
I'm then thinking about like the kind of like ghosty death heroes, but I don't know off the top of my head which ones like actually died and then came back maybe as like a ghost type hero, or maybe like some of the heroes that aren't ghosts died and came back. I may not know the lore well enough to be able to do this one, but I'm still thinking and going through them. Has anyone in my chat got it already?
Let me see here. Scrolling up, no one in your chat has gotten it. You have been closer than your chat has.
Ooh, get wrecked.
Yeah.
I can hear the.
There you go.
Going through. Is it Death Prophet?
It is not Death Prophet, though it's a good guess. Because she does want to die, but death just like keeps spitting her out.
Yeah.
She just has a crush on the Grim Reaper, wants to see what's on the other side of death. But she gets rejected, man. It's so sad.
Who else? Or I guess it could also... I think it probably is a hero. I can't imagine an item.
It is a hero. I'll give you that much.
Who... Did Lion die? He's got a voice
did not
line
die.
About going to hell and back and all that.
No, he literally just like walked there. Remember, the hell is just another dimension you can go there.
Gotcha. All right, let's think. Who's hollow? Are skeletons hollow?
Or who feels hollow?
Who feels hollow? If I were like tap on them, they like make a little bong noise.
No, I meant like emotionally. Look at the riddle. But now it all feels quite hollow.
Feels quite hollow. Pugna seems a little upbeat for a dead guy.
Pugna is reincarnated, so that is an interesting guess.
Damn, you know your lore. How much do you know the lore for like almost all the heroes, or how deep in the lore would you say?
Yeah, I would say I'm decently versed in all of the heroes, except for maybe like Marcy. Her lore is really
brand new. Who's super depressed? Once have died and given all. Oracle's depressed, but I don't know if he ever died and came back.
He never died in our universe.
Who else?
You were closer before. Here's a... would you like a hint?
Okay, go for it.
The hint is that this person is essentially extremely angry being brought back to life because now his death has no meaning. It is Huskar. You got it right.
He did actually die in his lore.
Yeah, and then Dazzle's like, well, we kind of need you to fight for us, and he brings him back to life, and Huskar's like, no, my glorious death, it was all for nothing. So now he just keeps trying to kill himself. He pours blood on his spears, lights the blood on fire, and throws them at you. How metal is that? This guy just wants to kill himself. It's great.